Alright, so this is my NBA Finals recap for Game 5. Let's get started. So to start off here, Oklahoma City did win this game 120 to 109, an 11-point victory, and they now have a 3-2 series lead. So a couple things to note right off the bat. One, OKC won this game, obviously, right? So Indiana has now lost 2 games in a row for the first time all postseason. That is very, very important information, right? Neither of these teams have lost 2 games in a row up to this point, and now Indiana has done so. Also, OKC is obviously up 3 games to 2, so that means Game 6, OKC could easily win Game 6, and my original pick of Thunder in 6 could very well come true. But talking about this game overall, we are going to look at some of the team stats here to start off. One thing to say, OKC was a lot better from 3 in this game. They were 43% from 3 as opposed to like 18% last time. Indiana was 36%. So 36% is fine, right? But definitely a lot less than OKC's 43%. From the field, OKC was 42, Indiana was 45. So actually Indiana did outshoot them there. Free throws are pretty even. Just OKC did do a little bit better from the 3-point line, which obviously showed up in this game. Offensive rebounds was very, very similar. And Indiana actually led the second chance points in this game. That was something they very much struggled on in Game 4. Another thing that Indiana struggled on in Game 4 was turnovers. And this game was no different. Indiana had 23 turnovers to Oklahoma City's 11. That is a very, very big discrepancy, which obviously made a huge impact in the outcome of this game. Off of those turnovers, Indiana had 9 points off of 11 turnovers, which isn't bad. OKC had 32 points off of Indiana's 23 turnovers. That is a lot of points, right? That is probably the single most thing that Indiana needs to be focusing on towards the future in Game 6 and Game 7. Obviously, if Game 7 were to happen. But having 23 turnovers is atrocious, and allowing 32 points off those turnovers is never going to be a good recipe for success for Indiana. Props to OKC for obviously accomplishing all of that, right? That's really impressive. But yeah, Indiana needs to not let that happen if they want to win this series. Also, talk about the blocks. OKC had 12 blocks in this game to Indiana's 4, right? OKC dominated this game defensively, and it very much showed in the outcome of this game. Individually for Indiana, they had some good pieces, right? They ran a heavy 8-man rotation with 8 guys getting 20-plus minutes a game. They had 5 different guys in double-digit points, so a lot of all-around scoring. But one of the guys that did not score the ball was Tyrese Halliburton. He had 4 points on 0 of 6 shooting, right? Not very good, especially from a guy who was very much struggling from 3 in Game 4. He also went 0 for 4 from 3 in this game. Dude has not been good from 3 at all. He's I think he's 1 for 10 from 3 or something, 1 for 11 maybe in the last 2 games. That's not a good look. He also went down with an injury early in the game. In this game, he did come back, but he did not look good when he came back. He didn't look very good before the injury either. So I don't know how much that calf injury is bothering him, but it certainly has not helped him any, which he kind of needs all the help he can get at this point, being down 3 games to 2. Pascal Siakam, I would say, was really good this game. 28 points, 60% completion on 9 of 15. That's pretty good. But pretty much aside from him, they had some good minutes from TJ McConnell with 18 points off the bench. But again, getting pretty much nothing out of Tyrese Halliburton, not a very good sign for this team for Indiana. That's the main thing. Besides their turnovers, right? They need Tyrese Halliburton to step up. They need to get their turnovers down if they want to have a chance of winning Game 6, and of course Game 7 after that as well. We're just going to mainly focus on one game at a time. Now, when we talk about OKC, there's some usual suspects being great. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander had 30 points. Jalen Williams actually had 40 points in this game. He was very good. He had 3 threes in this game. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was 0 for 3 from 3. Sorry, Shai was 0 for 3 from 3 in this game, so that wasn't great, but Jalen Williams was 3 for 5, which was pretty good. Both those guys combining for 71 points is quite a bit of points to get out of 2 guys. They also played a pretty heavy 8-man rotation with, 4 different guys having double-digit points. Obviously their scoring was not as spread around as Indiana's was, When they had two guys that combined for over 70, you're not going to really get a lot of spread from your entire roster. But they did have pretty good performances from every different guy offensively, outside of Alex Caruso and Chet Holmgren. Chet Holmgren had 9 points on 4 of 15 shooting. That is not good, right? Alex Caruso had 2 points on 1 of 8 shooting. That was not good. Being able to win this game in the way that they did without, actually with poor production out of those two guys is actually really impressive, right? Because those guys have been actually having really good offensive performances at times in this series, and then both struggling as bad as they did this game, still having a pretty convincing win is really, really good sign for OKC, right? Being able to get Jalen Williams to step up and have 40 points is a very good sign for OKC, right? So going forward in this game, for both of these teams, right, obviously Game 6 is a must win. OKC obviously could lose and then win Game 7, but nobody wants to play a Game 7. There's just so much pressure when it comes to a Game 7. OKC would very much like to get this game, get this series wrapped up in 6. Indiana obviously needs to stay alive and win Game 6. It is at home, so hopefully home court advantage can bode well for them. I would personally love to see a 7-game series. I don't really care who wins this series, but I really do want to see a Game 7. But again, for Indiana going forward in this series, they need, offensively they were doing fine. It's just the turnovers. They need to get those turnovers down. So 2 things. Tyrese Halliburton needs to be a legitimate weapon offensively, which he has not been the last couple of games. And they need to get the turnovers down because having 20-plus turnovers is not going to cut it. And for OKC, you would like to see a little bit more consistency from Chet Holmgren and from Alex Caruso as far as their field goal percentage. And then again, defensively, they're going to have to stay as tapped in as they were in this game. And if they do that, then they're going to be in prime position to win Game 6 and come home out of Indiana being NBA Finals champion. But that's going to be it for this video. Thank you for watching. Make sure to check back after Game 6 for an updated Finals recap, and goodbye.